Hello and welcome. This is Whole and Beautiful, and I am Angela Oliphant, your host. And I am so glad that you have joined me tonight for a night of information, revelation, and change. Guys, tonight is going to be a special show, and I want you to like, to comment, to share, to invite your friends in, to invite your loved ones in, to invite everyone that you can think of. Make sure that you share this broadcast. Make sure that they get the opportunity to hear. Because tonight I wanted to share with you a message that really touched my heart, and that was a teaching, a message on grief and the grieving process. And the reason why I'm bringing you this show tonight is because so many people are dealing with grief right now. We're all dealing with grief right now. And there's so many different forms of grief, and there's so many different things that's happening in our lives. And I want you to listen to this message just like I did. Listen to this message. I want it to minister to you, and I want you to realize and to know that you can come out of the grief and that you can be better because of it. You can grow, and it is a process. So I'm going to allow you to just step into this message and just hear it just like I heard it. It's a message by a friend of mine, Karen Rawls. We've been friends over 30 years, and she ministered this message at a shelter where she goes to teach the residents that are there, the homeless people that do come in. They get taught classes because they're transitioning to going back to homes and being able to get jobs and different things. And she has gone there for years to teach. And this was a teaching she did some years ago. But I know that it's going to be a blessing to you. I know that it's going to bless your life tremendously. And when it does, send me an email at wholebeautiful@gmail.com and let me know your testimony just by listening to this word. We're going to dive right in, and I want you to stay for the entire message. And I want you to be blessed and know that grieving is a process, but you will get through it.
Grief is an emotional reaction to change. Anytime you go through a change, unless it's self-imposed, where you say, I'm out of here, and then there's joy involved. But when you deal with change in life, there comes a feeling of grief over you. It can be sorrow, it can be sadness, it can be pain, and it's basically a natural process. It's not a disorder. You can't take no pills for it. It's not an illness. It's not an owie. It's a natural process that has different stages that you go through. And so there are different types of grief. One is bereavement. And I'm just going to go through this, and wherever, if they're not here, whoever asked for it, that's on them. I'm doing what I'm asked to do. Bereavement is the type of grief when somebody passes away. We all have to deal with bereavement because people get older, people die. Sometimes they die before that time. I had a sister die at birth. I had a sister die at 32. We have to deal with this, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Then we have this thing called a type of grief that you have to deal with. Is a word that's kind of, it's loss. For me, when I came from Germany, I had a job that paid more money than I know normal people make. You understand what I'm saying? I have a degree in business management, in bookkeeping, and in accounting. I worked for Porsche. At the end of the month, I looked around in the church I attended, and I said, now who can I bless this month? And I would just take money, big money, not 2 digits, put it in the envelope, and while they would pray or while they would do something, I put it in their Bible to bless them. Every 3 months, my husband and I would go on vacation. And we would go to nice places. We didn't have any children. So when I came to America, all my degrees were null and void because they don't carry over from any other country. So I came here, I didn't even have a GED.
Not even high school?
Nope, they don't accept anything. So I had to redo everything. So there was a type of grief for me. I said, shoot, all I can do here is clean bedpans. That's all I'm good for. There was a sense of loss of a lifestyle that allowed me to do what most people dream of doing, to where I have to go to the Salvation Army and get hand-me-clothes. I never had to do that before. I mean, I did when I grew up. I grew up poor, but once I worked on my own, I had money. And all of a sudden, it was like, whoops, 102 ways to make hamburger. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you have this feeling of grief when you had an accident and you lose a limb. I worked with a young lady. As you know, I work at school. When I worked at South High School, I had her in elementary school, and then when I switched to South High School, she was in a car accident, and she had lost, she was in a wheelchair then, and she said, I remember you when I could walk. I remember you when I could remember things. I remember you, but I don't know, her mental capacity. Sometimes, when you drink, you lose part of your capacity to remember stuff. When you do drugs, you lose your teeth. I remember when I had good teeth. I mean, these are my teeth. You know what I'm saying? I remember I had good teeth. I remember when I was skinny. I remember when I... Come on. You go through grief through life. And so this is what is called loss. Then you have this thing called acute grief. Acute grief, which is immediately after you lose something, you feel that immediate, like that sinking, man, that in your gut, and somebody pulled the rug from under you, and you're like, oh, ugh. Now you can't even remember, you can't even think because you're in a state of grief. Then you have what is called complicated grief, and that is when something happened but you stand still in this, you can't move over it. So as I say, I work at school, and during recess one time not where I work now, but before, this substitute was talking to me, and she was talking about her husband leaving with another woman, and and she's crying at the playground, on the playground, and apparently grief, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, when did this happen? I'm thinking like recent. She said, 14 years ago. We have not moved on. So this is called complicated grief because you're not able to move forward from the actual acute point, and you're stuck in when something happens. And this is really real because people can't move forward. Right now, where I work at, the school I work at, there's a lady whose son died in a motorcycle accident in Hawaii. He was in the military. He went to Iraq, got shot, and did all the war, was all fine, came back, and with the bonus, bought a new bicycle. Not a bicycle, a motorcycle, not a bicycle. Sorry, English is my second language. He bought a motorcycle, went out when it was raining with no helmet, with nothing on, and got killed in a motorcycle accident. Mm-hmm. And this is years ago again, and she has not gotten rid of anything. She kept everything. We cannot throw anything away. Why? Because we're still stuck. I want my baby. This is years ago. Her mother died 15, 16 years ago. She kept everything from her mom. I said, we could get rid of her makeup now. 15, 16-year-old makeup. Yeah. I can't get rid of it. She's stuck. It's called complicated grief. So it means the ability has been lost to move through the grieving process. Because there's a process we go through when we grieve, but if you're stuck in one or the other, it's called complicated grieving here. Now, how can you tell that? Because you can't move forward. I'm not laughing at this, but it's prolonged by your behavior, by your thoughts, and by uncontrollable feelings. Now, when you go through the first stage, you can't help but cry. You know, when they called me and they said my sister died at 32, so I was 26 years old, and I hung up the phone, I bawled. She committed suicide, I bawled. You hear what I'm saying? That was immediate. But you had to walk through that. I had to work through that. I had to walk and work through that. And now 32 years later, I'm laughing, but 32 years later, I'm not waking up every day crying because my sister committed suicide. Do you hear? You understand what I'm saying? So there's a complicated grief where you get stuck in it, and there's acute where you say, man, whew. You hear what I'm saying? And you need to be able to say, I'm stuck and I need professional help, because you can't help yourself. So this lady who can't get rid of her mom's stuff and her son's stuff, I can only talk so much. I can only help so much. I can only offer so much. I said, let's go through your son's stuff. And we opened the, the Foot Locker, what they sent from the army with his belongings, and whoop, there it went. I mean, she's in the garage screaming to the point where the neighbors came out. And this is, like I'm saying, like 10 years ago. I want my baby. I want my baby. So all I could do was close the Foot Locker and say, this is not a place where I can go with you. You need professional help. I love you. I'm your friend, but I'm not doing this. Because I can't do that. Right. I don't have the tools to walk through this. Are you ready to open the locker today? No. Okay. you hear what I'm saying? You need and you need to say to yourself, if I'm stuck somewhere and I can't move beyond, it's okay to say, help me. Because that's what people is here for. So what are the stages of grief? You can write them down. I'm not writing down. I've been writing all day on the board today. The first one is denial. And that's basically saying what? No, that can't be right. Now, when I got the call on my sister, I hung up the phone and I'm thinking, well, that can't be right. She's only 32 years old. Her husband had cancer, so I'm thinking, surely they got the names wrong. They meant to say he passed away, not she passed away. The first thing is always denial. I just talked to her the other day. You know what I'm saying? Or like for me, one of the things what I talked about loss, I'm 58 years old and I lift weights. So I can leg press on a bad day, 550, on a good day, 630 pounds. I'm very strong. But now with the weather being like this, I have arthritis in one of my knees. I can hardly go down. And you saw me, I can only go down one step at a time. That's a loss of ability, and I'm grieving that. I'm like, shoot, I should do this. And I want to get, the next stage is what? You heard what I said, I should do this. You get mad. You get angry. You get angry at the people around you. You can get angry at yourself. I got mad at my sister. I was like, how dare you? You going to leave us dealing with your mess? Let me see the casket. I'm going. No, I didn't say that or nothing. But, I was mad. I was like, how, you're going to leave us dealing with all your stuff you did. She was a heroin addict. She overdosed on her job, in the bathroom. It was in the paper. It was not fun. Then she had borrowed money from everybody in the family. And here we are at the funeral, and everybody's saying how much money she had borrowed. And then you think, well, am I supposed to pay these people back? Right. Yeah. You hear what I'm saying? And I was like, man, why did you do that? You get mad. With
Amy.
I'm texting Cassie to let her know there's class.
So then, the next one is you bargain. Now, I couldn't bargain with my sister, obviously, because she was gone. But you can bargain. The next stage of grief is you bargain. When you hear of somebody being terminally ill, what do you say? You say, well, Lord, if you heal them, I'm going to do good. Come on.
Yep.
Don't tell me we don't do it. Now, okay, I'm going to lose some more weight, and then I can move my knee better. What's the truth?
You get me out of this, I will never use again.
I never use again. What is that? We bargain with it.
Bargain. Mhm.
It's truth. It's stages that we go through. Just next. I'm used to worse than this. I'm teaching kindergarten, all right? So it's the truth. So we bargain. We try to make bargains to not have to deal with this. Because it's a painful emotion when we say, you know what, just don't let it happen. Or let's say we go through a breakup, divorce, breakup or something. What do we go? First thing, well, that didn't happen. I have, one of my friends found out her husband was unfaithful. Well, no, they're not my husband, right? Then you have anger. What you mean to tell me? Now here's, she called him on his phone and the lady he was with answered.
Ooh.
And she heard him in the background saying, don't answer my phone. Tell me something. Bargaining. And then when you bargain and it doesn't work, sometimes you try to internalize it. Well, what did I do wrong? Maybe I could do something different. The next step is depression. You say like, this ain't working, that ain't working. Man, life sucks. I'm getting old. This is stupid. It ain't even worth it. Might as well call it what? Be done. And then the last step is you work through that. And again, these are stages. And what I said earlier, if you get stuck in a stage, you need professional help. If you stuck in anger, you're always mad at something or somebody. And haven't you met people who are really angry? Or people who always bargain, or people who are always in denial. That's why people take drugs sometimes. That's why people take meds sometimes. Why? Because they're in denial. I don't want to deal with this. Let me just go to fantasy world. Let me just be pain-free, thought-free, worry-free, carefree. I don't care how I get it. Let me just get drunk and go, So I don't have to deal with reality. So I don't have to deal with the pain of grief of something or another. I mean, nobody here said, hey, I like to live in the Ashby house. What's your goal in life? Living in the homeless shelter? Come on now.
Yeah. Right
So
on.
you go through a stage of grief when you come here. You say, this ain't right. I shouldn't be here. I'm too old to be here. I know too much to be here. I'm too good of a person to be here. They deserved it more than me and they're not here. I mean, am I right or not?
Yeah.
Now, if you get me out of this house, never come back. I hope you don't. I love all of you dearly. But the truth is, I've been here since 1997. There's people I see periodically. I'm back, Mrs. Rhodes. And I'm like, this is no woohoo. I like to see you, but under different circumstances. All right, then it's depressions, and lastly is acceptance. You say, you know what? Now what can I do with this? What can I do with this? One thing you can learn from grief, one thing you can do with grief is learn from it. That's what I'm trying to say. No, what did you learn from your sister's suicide? What the heck could you have learned from your sister's suicide, Karen? You know what I learned? I never know when it's my last time seeing you. Yeah, I'm going to cry. Not over my sister. But I don't want to leave a bad taste in your mouth when I leave here. I want you to leave saying, that was good. This lady is here to help me. And not she's going to put me down, make me feel stupid, and make me feel worthless. When I leave here, I want you to leave saying, this helped me some kind of way. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to make it. I have other things to do, trust me. I have plenty other things to do than to come here, but I want to come here because I want to help you. And I don't want to see your name in the paper with suicide under it. That you say, man, this lady came, and if she can make it, doggone, I can do this. This lady came and she said one nugget that helped me to do just a little different this time from last time, so I don't have to stay here anymore. Do you understand that? You can learn from that. And I always thought that because there was that one day that was my last time with my sister, and I remember that. Well, I remember everything she said. I remember everything we did. And I'm glad it was a good day because I did know it was my last time with her. Do you understand that? So when my kids left to school, I always had the idea, when they go to school, what would they say? "Ah, dog, man, I have to go home. Mom all peed off." Or can they go to school with these thoughts? Man, my mama loves me. When I go to work in the morning, I want my husband to say, "Honey, I love you. I'm glad when you back." Because I don't know if I'm going to make it home. I had one kid say one day, "I know my dad's combination to his gun case, and I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to shoot you." I don't know.
Right.
I had kids stab me. I had kids pee on me. I had kids smear poop on me. I don't know when it's my last time to stand in front of you or with my husband or with my kids. But I've learned to say this: my every day might be my last day here, so I'm going to be the best, the kindest, the sweetest. I want to leave a kind word, a kind impact with you, that when I'm gone, you can say, "Man, we said she's gonna, glad she ain't coming no more." You hear what I'm saying? I've learned from this. And that's a choice you have to make when you go through those stages, to say, you know what can I learn from sitting here in this here Ashby house? Yeah, I lost a lot. Yeah, I lost some teeth. Yeah, I gained some weight. Yeah, I did this and this. But from where I'm standing at, what can I do different, and what have I learned, so I don't have to stay in this forever? Oh, you can sit there. "I ain't gonna sit down. I don't know a thing. Clap when it's 5 o'clock. I mean, that's your choice. But notice, I don't come to waste my time. Now, if you don't want to hear it, stage exit. To the left, to the left, to the left. It doesn't hurt my feelings. If you don't want to hear what I'm saying, I deal with 20 kids every day who don't want to hear what I say. And that's from 8:30 to 3:25. You hear what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt my feelings, but every now and then one of them comes and hugs me, Sure, I walked through the library, and this good-looking man. I'm like, whoa. No, I'm kidding.
Happily married.
I'm happily married. This guy comes over, like this young guy, and he hugs me. So, he's standing here, and he hugs me, and he's like, "Hey, Mrs. Rawls. Hey, Mrs. R." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, who is this?" And he's like, "I was in your preschool." And I was like, I'm looking up now, like, "Oh wow, forgive me, Lord." No. I'm just kidding. You gotta make this fun. And he said,
I'm sorry. You were a teacher?
I had my own preschool. And he goes like, "Yeah, just want to let you know I appreciate." And he said some things, and before he was done, I knew who he was then. Of course, he's like 4 years old then. Now he's in his late 20s. I hadn't seen him from here to there. And he's like, "I so appreciate that you did and what you said." And he hugged me. I was like, wow. And then I was like, "Yeah, it must be all right. You still remember me. I must look the same." Come on, people. That's how I want to leave. That's when I want to go out of here. Why? Because I learned this from here. So if you choose to be stuck in a stage, that's your choice. You understand what I'm saying? Or you can say, "Nah, I need help here. Whew, can't stay here all my life." Now, you know how far I got so far? The title. I got 4 pages, and all I got is the title. This is all I talked about so far. Oh my God. We're not going to get far today, but whatever we do, it's all right with me. So I want to talk about the different kind of losses. I talked about it a little bit. One of the things that you can grieve is the loss of identity. And that's something that as women we have to deal with. Because before you get married, you were somebody. Now, I'm not saying when you get married, you're not anybody anymore. But what you become, like for me, I became Roy's wife. Before I got married, I was Karen, but after I got married, being married to a military guy, I was Sergeant Rawls' wife. I was Roy's wife. And I was somebody in Germany when I came to America. Now all of a sudden, I'm a nobody. Can't even speak the language right. Not as good as I do now. Of course, I've been married 38 years and I've been here that long, so it's a little better. But it was like, what are you saying? So you have a loss of your identity when you get married. So then you have kids. So now you're not only just Roy's wife, but now you're Chris's mom, you're Simeon's mom, you're Monique's mom. You hear what I'm saying? You lose your own identity and you grieve through that. And here's the other thing. When you don't know to hold on to you and you become just that, just the mom, just the wife, and when they leave, you're going to go through some serious, because you forget who you are. You always got to have you at the core and say, you know what, one day y'all going to leave and I'm still somebody. I'll say this, and you heard me say this. I was somebody before I'm married. I'm somebody since I'm married. And if you ever choose to leave, if my husband chooses to leave, I'm still going to be somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Do I not like my husband after 38 years? Yes, I do. I trained him just so. No, I'm kidding. You hear what I'm saying? My kids the same way. My kids did not, this is going to sound mean. My kids came first in a lot of ways, but not in every way. Some people, I do everything for my kids. I didn't. I'm not going to jail for them. Come on, I don't lie for you. I don't steal for you. I train you up there. When you leave my house, you can live on your own. Where have I learned this one from? Because one day I'm not going to be here. My daughter visited me from Texas last weekend, and I said, and she saw me going up the stairs, or down the steps actually, with, limping. And she said, what's wrong with you? And I was like, Moni, I got arthritis in my knees. They hurt. I can't do this anymore. And she just stood there, and she just started crying. And I said, what's wrong with you? She said, Mom, you're not going to be here always. And I was like, no, I'm not. I said, I'm not rushing it. Don't worry. I'll be here a while. But I'm not going to be here forever. But I raised her to know this. You can be on your own. She moved out when she was 18. Hasn't looked back. Knows everything I know. All my 3 kids, my 2 sons and my daughter, they know how to cook, how to clean, how to live on their own. That's my job. My job is not to raise a child that's depending on me. I learned that here. Because I figured out and I learned they're not going to be here always. And I don't want them depending on me. So, I was at home one day and I got a call from somebody. And she said, I was like, what's going on? I'm at Dylan's and I don't know what to buy. I was like, you forgot your shopping list? Okay, I can cook. And if I can't cook, I can Google what you want to cook. And she said, no, it's not like that. She said, my husband took the kids on a camping trip. And I'm in Dylan's, and I want to buy something I like to eat, and I don't know what to buy. I was like, why not? She said, because I always buy for them. They lost their identity. And I said, so let's start the other way. I said, what do you not like? Well, I don't like that. I said, then don't buy that. you understand what I'm saying? Because you have to, when you lose your identity, you become so involved with your kids. But you forget that you are somebody apart from your kids. As much as I love my kids, don't have the idea that I don't like my kids. They grown up, obviously they're out the house and grown, all of them are. They love me and I love them, and they're the best ever. We just, But I had to have a little time for me every now and then. And I would say to my daughter when she was little, she's the baby, I would say, I'm leaving, so but I always come back. And I always left something. I would take an earring off, take my ring off. I'd take something from me and I put it in her hand. I said, here, so I always come back. And guess what she always says to me now? You always come back. And now she does this, Mom. And I always come back. And she tells that to me. So when you switch your jobs, sometimes you can go through grief. And say, I had a great job with what I said when I was in Germany. And then when I came to America, I was like, hey. I work for $10 an hour. This is like, what? You gotta be kidding me. I didn't even open the door at the time for that money. Come on now. But I learned how to serve, boy, because of this word. This can be your friend or this can be your foe. You can try to numb it and kill it, not deal with it, or you can say, I'm going to make you my friend. I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to help somebody because of what you've been through, So they don't have to go through it. You know, my kids don't have to start at square one. You can start up here because I've been through some not so fun times. All right. I already talked about that. I'm so good.
All the stages of grief.
Huh?
Yeah.
Did I miss that? Because I got denial. What was the other
Yeah,
one?
you walked away or what?
Probably the
Anger, bargaining, depression, work through acceptance.
Yep. You are good. Grief is compounded. I study and I read a lot, but it says grief is compounded if you had a lack of control in the decision. Grief is compounded when you had no control in the decision. Like my friend, when her husband had the affair, she had no control in that decision. So that grief of having to deal with his infidelity, and now she can't find him. She can't get a divorce. And now she has to go through a different route to get a divorce. And now she doesn't have the money to get the divorce. And all of this stuff, it compounds this. And she has to deal with that. So, I meet with her. And she lives in Junction City. So, it's a little different. So the next one is the loss of safety. The loss of physical, emotional, or mental well-being. So if you went through physical, emotional, sexual trauma and you struggle to feel safe in everyday life. I'm not going to go through everything I always talk about, but I've been through some hard spots in my life, and I'm not going to go in the depths of that. But there's times when I was like, I go to work out at Genesis, and when I started there, you work out by yourself, and it's mainly all guys. And it's not just guys, it's big men. You hear what I'm saying? So there was a time when I'm on the machine and a guy comes over and he uses the machine and I'm like, well, I just walked away. Because I didn't want to say, excuse me, I'm on here. I got my weights racked. I'm on here. You didn't ask. It's my turn. I just walk off and just go over here. I can work somewhere else. Because I didn't want confrontation. Because I didn't want anybody doing anything else. I didn't want anybody in my face. I didn't want anybody wait outside and try to kill me again. Let's just not do that. But guess what I do now? I'm like, hey, can I finish that set? You hear what I'm saying? Because you have to deal with that. One of my trainers, he said, Karen, not everybody is here to kill you. And he didn't know my past or nothing. And I was like, that must be obvious here. He's like, not everybody is here to kill you. Most people are pretty nice and they might look pretty, And every now and then I need help with stuff. And I ask different guys who I watched that I've seen help or be kind. I said, could you please help me or laugh, I can't get the clip open because my hand got arthritis and I can't squeeze it. Can you do this for me? Oh, well, sure. Just let me know and I'll do it. Or so you have to deal with that. Sometimes if you've been evicted when you was a child and you had to move a lot as a child, or your parents went through a breakup or they weren't even married and went through a divorce, you experienced this as a child. And you have to deal with that even as an adult, that you were abandoned as a child. Because that's what it feels like to a child. When the parents divorce, and especially if they're not in the child's life, it feels like abandonment to that child. You have to deal with that as an adult, saying that it's okay that I'm grieving, and it's okay that I'm angry, and it's okay that if I would have been a little better little girl, maybe they would have still been together. No, that was not your part. That was their part. And you need to put that where that is and step away from it and say, I accept their decision. It was not right. It was what it was, It is what it is. And then you move on with it. You hear what I'm saying? No, because they did that, I messed up, whatever. No, that's your choice. Learn from it and say, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Different things. So then we have, what else? The loss, and I thought this was interesting because I'm going through that. The loss of autonomy. That means the ability to manage your own life and your own affairs. Because right now, you're at a place of loss of autonomy. Because you're not running your own ship right now. You can, when I used to be on my own, I didn't have to. And what do you mean I got to do this? You get what? Angry. All right. And then what we said earlier, just let me get out of here. I'll never do it again. Come on. And then finally you have to say, all right, I'm here to learn to make myself better. So next time I'm in a situation, I know how to do it a little better. I know what to say. I know what not to do. I know how to save money. I know, you hear what So for me, it's interesting because what I said, with my knee, I'm not as mobile. I can't do things. It's like, and I don't want to get old. I'm like, I don't feel almost 60. Yeah, my knee sure does. My hand does. But up here, it's like, yeah, when that guy walked down, I'm like, yeah, he looks nice. In my head, I'm not 60. There's times I feel like I'm 25. You have to deal with it. Say, all right, that's okay. Okay, what else? Of course, if you lose all your money, then that's grief too. And say, I remember when I had money, what I said earlier. Then there's another one I want to talk about, and that's the loss of dreams and expectations. You know how when you're little, you say, when I grow up, I'm going to be married and have 2.5 kids. You know what I mean? And a house and a dog. And then as you get older, you probably can tell that that's never going to happen. You might not ever have your own house. You might not ever be happily married. Hey, honey, I'm home. It might not ever happen for you. You might be on your own for the rest of your life. Guess who sets in? Right here, grief and anger and disappointment and sadness and what? Bargaining just sent me a good one. I'd do anything just not to be lonely. Come on. And finally you say, you know what, I think I'm good on my own. I can do this. I can fill my life with things other than a man. And it's going to be a good life for me. So when you heard me say it before, water seeks its own level. So when one shows up, if you stay good, but if you don't, good too. I read this the other day and I loved it. It says, I know what I know what I bring to the table, and I can always eat by myself. Come on, I know what I bring to the table, and I can eat by myself. Because if this ain't working, if this is not the same level, I'm going to eat by myself. I don't need you to tell me nothing. I told you before, I don't need you to tell me nothing. Okay, moving right along. And one of them I didn't even think about, nobody is that young, but when you hit the real world after high school, sometimes kids go into depression. Because when I get out of high school, I'm going to blah, blah, and I'm going to, and then all of a sudden, you know what you get after high school? It's called bills. Come on. And you find out that $1,000 a month, what you thought when you lived at mama's house, daddy's house, or the other house, wherever, you thought $1,000 is like, oh my God, $1,000. Now you know that $1,000 won't even what? Come on. Because when you're at home, you think $1,000 is like, whoo, I can have a car, I can have a house, I go out, I buy clothes, and then you get there. It's like, what happened to my money? I can't do this with one job. I need a roommate. Come on now. And they go through this. And then they kill themselves a year or two after high school or after college, because this ain't, the real life is not what you had expected. Or you can't find the perfect guy. Or you can't find the woohoo lady. Or, I can't have children. I wanted children. I mean, can't have them. What now? Oh, life is rough. Come on now. Life is not easy. Anybody who told you that, let me tell you this. They lied. Oh, I know, sounds kind of bad, but there it is. All right, here we go. I wrote this down. I thought it was good. I mean, you don't have to clap. Grief and mourning can be a framework, to help each of us work through a chapter of chaos. You can take some time in grief and say, you know what, I did stupid. I've been to jail. I had a conviction. So this is not going to happen for me anymore. And you can mourn that part of your life and say, this won't happen for me. But now I can learn from it, and I don't have to do this anymore, but I can move forward and start and say, now, where do I go from here instead of staying in here? Well, I can't be a brain surgeon. What do you want to do with it? I want to be a brain surgeon and nothing. Well, this ain't going to happen for me. Like me saying I'm going to swim in the Olympics. That ain't going to happen. I can stand here and pout and cry and bargain and be angry all I want to. I'm 58 years old. You know what I'm saying? This ain't going to happen. I'm never going to swim in the Olympics. Or I can just give up. Well, you say I can't swim in the Olympics. You hear what I'm saying? I know you're laughing, but it's the truth. We do that in life.
Right. Yeah.
We say this about ourselves. Well, I can't be a size 2, so forget it. And we just, Chewbacca comes out. We do everything crazy. Let's say, all right, I'm not a size 2, but I can be a size 12.
Yes.
Let's leave it there. We don't need to be a 22, 28. We can just leave it there. Or if I like to be a 28, hey, I'm a 28. At least I'm not a 30. Let's work on. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This can help you. All right. If I was in church, I would say, I'm preaching better than you, Manning, but that's all right. We're not in church. All right.
Love the confidence. Yes.
Now, what do we need? We need somebody with some compassion. And we need somebody who can deal with us being angry sometimes and not give us the axe. But then we know when to cut that off and say, and that was enough of that. I have played the violin. I'm poor and needy. I never swam in the Olympics. Long enough. Put your violin away. And now let's move on. What can you do? You need to have a friend that's compassionate enough to listen to you, but strong enough to say it's time to move on. Okay? Now, you determine when it's your time to move on. Don't let other people, because people heal at a different rate, but here it is. Grief is a process, so you can't be stuck in this. And in 14 years from now, God willing, I still come. I don't want you here talking about the same thing. I might be, but not you. Let's move on from that. You hear what I'm saying? I can't get over it. It's just so... Come on.
And that's called complicated grief.
That's called complicated grief. All right, then we have, what do we do? And I found this word, and I thought this is the best word because I have to write it down. I can't write nice. This is a real word.
Linear.
Linear healing. Now, linear, this is the word line. This is a line. And it's supposed to be straight. Like parallels. Your healing is say it for me.
Linear.
Linear, meaning you don't heal like this. You don't heal like anybody else at the same time, in the same way. You heal your own way. You might go, I'm doing good with the anger, but the bargaining is going to take a little longer, or I don't bargain at all. Forget that. But I'm going to be in depression for a little while longer. So you need to know where you're at in your grief, and don't let people say, now this has been long enough. You're getting on my last nerve now. Then you need to listen and say, are they right? Do I need some help? Do I need to move on? All right. People say, what the world is that? Healing. Okay, how are we almost done? Where are we at? Non-linear, where are you? Here we are. And again, you can't stay there, you gotta move on. And you need to learn how to cope with this in order to bounce back. So now I have 7 steps and I got 10 minutes. All right, let's do this quickly. How to move on from grief. First one is what we know. You can't change anything unless you recognize, realize, and acknowledge it. You say, you know what? I'm grieving. And I'm sad because I have a reason to be sad. And don't tell me to be happy today, because today's not happy day. My name's not Happy Bear. Today is. You acknowledge it. You don't avoid it. You don't suppress, repress it. You don't deny it. You find a safe place, somebody to listen to you, to get it out and move it on. Sometimes my car is my safe place. What I said before, between school and house, there's a lot of conversation between the car and me. Just found out one of my students who've been acting crazy like a Mad Hatter, his dad is on the 10 most wanted. So am I a little more compassionate now?
No, hopefully call it in.
But, you hear what I'm saying? So, all right, get it out. Then start making steps to fill the void within. Find a positive way to give your life new meaning, a new goal. Do stuff that make you feel good about you. Just very simple. Do something that you feel good about doing yourself. So you don't, I like this. You find something, do a hobby. Number 3, grow from the loss. Have I said this enough? Loss has a message. Grief has a message for you. Okay? What can you learn from it? All right, then, when you accept it, then number 4 is replace the negative feelings with positive ones. So what? You focus on not the temporal, but on a little more hindsight here. And you understand this is a frame in my life. This is not my life. Grief is not my life. It was a frame. What I learned from my sister, what I learned from this, it's a frame of this is not my whole life. My life is from here to cross the street. This is one frame. It's not my whole life. If it is, I need help. What I said before, time to move on. Number 5, move forward. Have a place in your life forward, then choose to remember the good memories and move on. Do I have bad memories of my sister being a drug addict? You best believe. If it wasn't chained to the wall, it was in the pawn shop. She conned you. Yes, she stole from you. She lied to you. And I have stories I can't even tell you all of them. You hear what I'm saying? But guess what I choose to remember the mostest, the bestest? The good ones. I really do. Just crazy stuff. Like, how do you? But then I come over here and I say, I don't want to remember all that. I'm going to stay right here with the good stuff, because if I don't, I get sad again. What could I have done different? 33 years later, there's nothing I could have done different. Too late. I did the best I knew at the time with what I had, the information, the money, everything that I did the best I knew how at the time. And I have to make a line under it and say, let's go from here. Right? All right, then learn. This is hard for us because it's me too. Learn to be more emotionally stable and regulate yourself and stop yourself when you get out of control. So I had a picture of my sister and her husband on their wedding day in May. Right? And I didn't have one. I never had one. That's what I'm trying to say. My mom sent me one, and I put it in my living room, and I sat and I looked at it, and I was like, oh, man. And I got this, oh, man. I was like, I can't leave this picture up there, because every day I would look at it and go, oh, man. And I was like, no. Am I supposed to take the picture down because I'm unstable? I was like, no, let's change this around. Let's look at the picture and remember the good times. And remember the fun person. Remember the talented person. Remember the loving person that she was. So I can leave the picture up now. Instead of saying, I can't deal with it, take the picture away and deny this. I was like, no, I'm going to stay right here with it and change this, not that. So when I look at it, it's like, nope, stop yourself, Karen. You did the best, right? So number 7, and we are done. And this is because this is called spiritual life. It's called find and evaluate your value system, something what I wrote, I can't read it, but it's proven that if you have faith in your life, in something that's bigger than you, that you get over this a lot easier because you say this, somewhere in this there's a purpose for this. And if it gets too hard, maybe I can go to something, to someone that's a little stronger. Somewhere this was ordained, not by chance, but by somebody who has a purpose for my life, and they orchestrated all this. You know you hear what I'm saying? And it's proven that if you have faith in something bigger than yourself, that you heal faster from grief than when you think you're by yourself. So maybe we need to reevaluate, including me or anybody, what do we believe in? And you bounce back easier. You can have times of meditation, a time of prayer, a time of relaxation, saying, okay, help me with this. Because it's a little too much for me to do. That's a little too heavy for me to bear. But you know what? I just trust that you have some better for me one day. I don't have to do this alone. You're here for me. And when you do that, all right. My last thing is, never lose hope, because you can do it.
Thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate everyone tuning in and listening. I am so excited about the testimonies that are going to come forth because of what you have heard tonight. I pray that this word has really ministered to you, that it has caused you to let go of some things. It has caused you to grow. It has you thinking, and it has you walking that journey of being whole and being beautiful. Thank you again for joining me tonight, my whole and beautiful nation, and everybody else that decided to tune in. I pray that you have an awesome, wonderful weekend. Walk out the process and know that you will be okay. It's going to be all right. Walk it out and you will get to the other side. I am Angela Oliphant, allowing you to see, hear, and to know that whole and beautiful is not just your destination, guys. It is most definitely your journey.